Now, CBS 47 Action News Jax at 11 begins with breaking news.
Breaking news in the Moncrief neighborhood. JSO tells us they are on the scene of an aggravated battery with multiple victims on the 4600 block of Ken Knight Drive North. This is a live look at the scene. You can see investigators there working the scene. We are expecting a briefing from JSO. If it happens during this newscast, we will bring it to you live.
And more breaking news. A man is dead after a SWAT standoff with JSO that lasted all afternoon into the evening. Police say the man shot himself as the SWAT team moved in just after 8 o'clock. Police say they're still working to notify the man's relatives that he's dead.
Police say they were called to the house on West 15th Street around 1 o'clock because the man was threatening to kill himself and his children. Police surrounded that home for the next 7 hours. When they finally went in after 8 o'clock, JSO says they found the man dead from a gunshot wound to the head. Action News Jax Kevin Clark says JSO had felony warrants out for his arrest.
Police say they had warrants out for the suspect on charges of domestic battery and sexual battery, and family members had told me that's what was causing him to make threats against himself and his children. I want to show you, we were allowed to get up close to the home because police lifted the crime tape, and family has been coming intermittently up to the home and going inside the home. We want to show you some video from earlier around 8 p.m. You can see some kind of machine that we think was used to breach the door of the home. This is when officers now say they heard that single gunshot. Then you can see a robot move toward the home. If you look closely, it's between the two cars on your screen. Then you see SWAT officers move in toward the home. And finally, an ambulance rolled up to the home along with a fire truck when SWAT retreated. Now, I want to show you video from even earlier in the day when we saw officers with M16s surround the home on all sides. They'd been using their loudspeaker to coax the suspect into coming out all afternoon. Then we were asked to move back when snipers from JSO's SWAT team arrived. My photographer took video of them arriving on scene. Family members of the man inside could be seen praying that there would be a positive outcome. We even heard them talking on the phone, pleading with him to come out. I spoke with the man's sister-in-law earlier this afternoon, and she also made a plea for him to come out.
I was just say, come on out. There's no, there's no sense of killing yourself. What's done is done. Lord forgive you. Just come on out and just going to face your consequences. Just going to pay for your action.
I spoke with his sister-in-law after the news came out that the suspect had killed himself, and family was visibly shaken and understandably upset after they heard. But police do say that the suspect's wife and children were not harmed. They had actually been staying with family. Other relatives told me that earlier this afternoon. So they had moved out by the time police had gotten here. Reporting in Allendale tonight, Kevin Clark, CBS 47. Action News Jax.
We first told you about this standoff around 3:37 over the Action News Jax app. If you want the breaking news first, you can download the Action News Jax app for free on iTunes or Google Play. Right now, a 4-year-old child is being treated for critical injuries after a scooter and a car collided. In the last hour, JSO updated us on the crash on Acme Street and Hare Avenue. This is on the south side. Police say an adult and a child were on that scooter when it collided and crashed. The adult was not seriously injured. These pictures are just in after a crash in Mandarin. Neighbors tell us a vehicle crashed through a fence on Losco Road near Old St. Augustine Road. The people who took these pictures tell us the driver was not seriously injured, and they are cooperating as police investigate the crash.
The Coast Guard has helped get a woman to the hospital after she had a medical emergency on a Jacksonville-based cruise ship. Now, this is video from the Coast Guard as they helped get a 39-year-old woman off the Carnival Elation. The woman started having stomach pains this afternoon, so the Coast Guard sent a helicopter from Clearwater to take her from the ship to the nearest hospital, which is in Melbourne. Today, JSO released information about a suspect accused of raping a woman earlier this month. This is a sketch of the man they're looking for. Investigators say at 11 a.m. on April the 3rd, the man attacked the victim from behind in an alley in the 1200 block of South Macduff Avenue in Riverside. The suspect is described as a black man in his late teens, 5'5" to 5'7", and 125 pounds. He's also said to have acne on his neck. If you recognize the man in the picture, call JSO or Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen, 866-845-TIPS. DCF is investigating after a 12-year-old girl was shot in the head during a sleepover. Now, we first told you about the shooting on Willow Branch Avenue in Lackawanna on Action News Jax this morning. Since then, we've learned an 11-year-old boy was holding the gun. Action News Jax Beth Rousseau spoke to that boy's family, who says it was all an accident.
I didn't mean for that to happen.
This mother, who didn't want to be shown on camera, tells me a birthday sleepover at her home went dangerously wrong early this morning.
I was asleep. It happened like 2:30 in the morning. So, I mean, I just woke up to a loud boom and ran straight out here. Then I went back in the house and I seen a young lady.
Police say a 12-year-old girl was shot in the head inside this house on Willow Branch Avenue. Family tell me an 11-year-old boy fired the gun.
This is a young man who got a lot going on with his life. And then it just takes small things to make him feel bad about himself.
Family members tell me the little girl was sitting on this couch when she was shot, and this hole is from the bullet. They say the 11-year-old little boy found the loaded gun inside that abandoned greenhouse.
If you walk over there, you can see it's wide open.
So
if you look in our backyard, there's no gate to stop the kids from going over there.
DCF was at the home this afternoon. Officers say the little girl was taken to UF Health for treatment. The mother, who was in the house, says she feels awful and is praying for the little girl's quick recovery.
I'm sorry. And I just hope the little girl, forgive me for, for letting it happen or however it went on in the household.
Police say the girl's injuries were not life-threatening. Family friends are expecting her to make a full recovery. In Lackawanna, Beth Rousseau, CBS 47 Action News Jax.
Firefighters working the huge swamp fire on the Florida-Georgia line are fighting to save the forest and wildlife. This picture of a firefighter holding a baby deer was posted on the Okefenokee National Wildlife Refuge page, the Facebook page there. Wow, this deer was captured before firefighters set what they call a tactical burnout, where a fire starts to burn fuel before the main fire arrives. They say its mother was nearby and also survived. Now, this is new video from the Georgia Forestry Commission of firefighters at work on the West Mims fire. It started on April 6th and is now more than 96,000 acres. The fire's only 8% contained. Firefighters think the fire will continue to grow slowly to the north and west.
Clay County Utilities is reporting nearly 22,000 gallons of raw sewage spilled into the wetlands at Orange Park. The first spill happened yesterday morning after a pump failed on Constitution Drive. 9,100 gallons of sewage was released into a storm drain in low-lying wetlands. Another spill happened this morning at the same location, and another 12,500 gallons were released. Right now, there's a detour for the northbound lanes on 295 of the East Beltway. This is a live look at 295 at Phillips Highway, where the detour starts. Now, here's a look at the detour. The neighborhood northbound traffic has to leave 295 at Phillips Highway, then go north on Southside Boulevard and east on Bay Meadows Road to get back on I-295 northbound. The detour will be in place from now until 5 a.m.
On Monday, prosecutors are expected to call Carla Wiley to testify in former Congresswoman Corrine Brown's fraud trial. Wiley was the president of the One Door for Education charity. She's accused of being part of a conspiracy with Brown and others and has taken a plea deal with the government. The government says the charity was actually a slush fund for Brown and spent far more money on luxury items and events than on scholarships.
14 people have been killed by tornadoes and flooding in the Midwest and Southeast. Some of the worst damage was in Canton, Texas, where winds tossed around vehicles at a car dealership. Now, a driver used a cell phone to capture one of the tornadoes as it tore across a Texas highway. The National Weather Service says at least 4 tornadoes touched down in Texas. The storm happened to hit Canton on prom night.
When the sirens started going off and our phones started going off, we kind of started getting the kids kind of inside because a lot of them were outside, and we got into the room that's in the front of the building that you see. The only one really still standing in that far right corner.
This is a picture a student took last night of people taking shelter as the tornado passed over that prom. After the storms passed, the couple found a baby horse pinned by a fence. Take a look. The man was able to move debris off the horse so it could get free. We're told the horse is going to be okay. Flooding hit Jonesboro, Arkansas after more than 4 inches of rain fell overnight. Several homes had to be evacuated. A volunteer fire chief was killed while dealing with the emergency conditions.
A Putnam County family lost everything in a mobile home fire while they were at the beach. Putnam Fire Rescue says the blaze on San Mateo Road in Satsuma happened around 4 p.m. on Saturday. Action News Jack spoke to the homeowner who says firefighters told her it was sparked by an electrical problem. She was at the beach with her 5 children when the sheriff's office called her. The family is now staying with a neighbor. An East Palatka woman is charged with lying about being carjacked. Putnam County deputies arrested 27-year-old Kristen Comer last week. Investigators say she told them a man stole her truck and held her against her will. But after questioning, detectives learned she lied to cover up where she was when it disappeared. They later found meth on Comer, too.
The government house in St. Augustine is getting a new name. According to the St. Augustine Record, the building will be called the Governor's House Cultural Center and Museum. Officials say the reason for the change is because the original name sounded like official government business was taking place there.
The parent company of Winn-Dixie says they're closing a store in San Souci neighborhood on the south side. The store located on the 7500 block of Beach Boulevard at Parental Home Road will close its doors in June. The company says they do not have any plans to close any other stores in our area. No word on an exact date of closure. 3 boaters are giving thanks to a smartphone.
The reason why 3 men had to depend on Siri for help after their boat sunk.
I'm First Alert meteorologist Gary Beaton. Well, this is a nice sight. The last 2 hours on First Alert Doppler HD. Some sea breeze, showers, and thunderstorms dying now, but more on the way. Timing those out for your work week in the First Alert 7-day forecast.
And we continue to stay on top of breaking news in Moncrief. This is a live look as JSO investigates an aggravated battery. Multiple victims involved. This is on the 4600 block of Ken Knight Drive North. We're working to get you an update on the other side of this break. All right, back to our breaking news in the Moncrief neighborhood. This is developing within the last 30 minutes or so. We now know that 5 people have been shot at a party in Moncrief. JSO is about to talk to us about the details.
Lieutenant John Gay about to speak to the media right now. You see him being mic'd up talking about this aggravated battery that happened in Moncrief. Again, 5 people shot at a house party. We are awaiting this live briefing as you're watching here on Action News Jax. Let's listen in.
Okay. Tonight around approximately 10 o'clock, we had several people show up at Fire Station 26, which is nearby off of Lipia Road, with gunshot wounds. They were subsequently transported to UF Health. We identified the crime scene about the 4600 block of Ken Knight Drive. It appears that there was possibly a large party in which several people, 5 that we have found so far, were found to be shot, have non-life-threatening gunshot wounds.
All 5 of them non-life-threatening. Do we have approximate ages, maybe their genders? Or?
Yes, males between ages of 17 and 20 years old.
Okay. Do we have any idea how the shooting broke out at this time?
We have no idea at all whatsoever at this time. That's why I'm asking the community for the help. You can remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers, but we need to know what happened and why the people were shot here tonight.
And it looks like a lot of the evidence markers were in the street. Did it happen in the street? Are you looking at a possible drive-by?
That is a possibility. Numerous shell cases were located in the street, as well as discarded items in the park nearby, just down the street. People looked like they were fleeing, but no one was wanting to tell us what happened, and everyone's fled the area. So we're trying to look for anyone who has any information at all about what happened to please reach out to us.
Sir, can you repeat that from the top? Could you repeat your briefing from the top? Just go ahead and repeat your briefing from the top.
All right, and that was, we thank JSO for that. We're just to update you, that was 5 people shot. They showed up at a nearby fire station. They had been at a party. That's what JSO knows so far. Again, 5 people with non-life-threatening injuries, 5 males, again, with non-life-threatening injuries. There were several evidence markers in the street while we were here. And, of course, when we have any new information on this, we'll bring it to you on air and on our Action News Jax mobile app. But for now, we're live in Moncrief tonight. Kevin Clark, CBS 47, Action News Jax.
And as you saw right there, Action News Jax bringing you that information first. More coverage on Action News Jax this morning. Meantime, Siri is getting credit for helping save 3 boaters in South Florida. The fishermen ran into rough seas about 4 miles off Biscayne Bay Saturday morning. Their boat took on water and sank. The men had life jackets on and started swimming to shore, but their hands were too cold to dial their phones.
He had an iPhone 7, which I'm learning today is waterproof. However, he couldn't touch the screen with his phone with his fingers because they were cold, but he used Siri to call 911.
After the call, a Coast Guard chopper found the group and dropped a diver in to stay with them until police arrived with a rescue boat.
Well, we're saying goodbye to Welcome to Rockville for this year. Def Leppard closed down the 2-day Rock Fest at Met Park about an hour ago. Action News Jax has been on the ground and behind the scenes all weekend. Hey now, looks like they're having fun. Just follow us on Instagram to see more.
Always tracking to warn you first. Action News Jax First Alert Weather.
All right, Garrett, it's been warm, of course, but you're tracking hopefully some rain relief.
Yeah, we are, actually. It's not going to be a lot of rain over the next couple of days, but we will track some of that. And
coming up, SpaceX scrubbed why the rocket didn't launch this morning and when they'll try again to put a surveillance satellite into orbit.
The grades are in for the Jags draft. How did they do and how much better did they get? Brent and Dan will break down the weekend coming up.
SpaceX will try again to launch a Falcon 9 rocket from the Kennedy Space Center. SpaceX says there was a sensor issue today. The Falcon 9 is carrying a classified satellite for the U.S. military. The next attempt will be tomorrow morning at 7. Watch it live on Fox 30 Action News Jax this morning and our mobile app.
The sun was bright as people gathered on the streets of Jax Beach for the annual opening of the beach's parade. This is the 71st year of the parade, which honors active military, veterans, and first responders, but also promotes local businesses and, of course, the beaches. We'll be right back. Some crowds came out to Friendship Fountain on the South Bank this afternoon for Celebrate Good Festival. The Hands On Foundation throws the event to honor people who give up their time to serve others in the community.
All right, Garrett, what do you have?
And another warm one, but we are going to see a few showers late in the day and into the overnight hours with an approaching cold front. Chief Meteorologist Mike Burris will be tracking those for you tomorrow night, and Ariel's got an updated forecast in the morning.
Be sure to join us tomorrow for all your overnight news and weather and traffic updates on Action News Jax this morning. It starts at 4:30 on Fox 30.
The NFL draft is over. What does it mean for Blake Bortles? Coming up on Action Sports Jax Primetime with Brent and Dan.